And then, should I seize this opportunity to just load a new? Maybe I should. Maybe I should just upgrade. So we're done with all of this. So let us delete everything and start all over. Let's start a new, let's load a new Oracle Virtual Machine VirtualBox Manager. So how do we delete this one? How do we delete? Let's try this way. To delete my virtual machine, let me go to Drive C, users, my name, then AWS VirtualBox. Let me delete that. Delete. Oh, it's my VirtualBox machine is open. I cannot delete what's open. Let me close that. Let me come back here, delete that, and then delete this as well. All right. So what's here? All right. So then, where's my VirtualBox icon? Then what else do I delete? My programs. What program am I looking for? VirtualBox, Oracle VirtualBox. All right. I uninstall. All right. So this is starting VirtualBox all over because I saw that I needed to upgrade. So instead of trying to upgrade that, let me just load a new. All right, for someone, this is revision and is wondering, okay, this is how this is done. Yes, this is how it's done. All right, so while that is deleting, I need a new VirtualBox software. How do I get it? All right, so that one is completely deleted. I don't have VirtualBox anymore. So if I load this, it says can't open. All right, in fact, that one too is gone. So how do I get a new software to load? I go online, right? I go to Google and I say, give me VirtualBox. And then so many links are provided. I look for the one that I trust. VirtualBox.org. Sounds good. So why not? Okay. If I'm downloading for Windows host, I click that. If I'm downloading for OS host, that is what's OS?
OS X.
Yes. What's OS? OS generally, when we say Windows, we know Windows now. We're very familiar with Windows. So OS will be operating system from
operating system
from Apple.
Mac.
From Apple, yeah. From Mac, yeah. So OS is the general name for OS operating systems for Mac, like you said. I mean, for Apple, Mac is just one of Apple's many products. Of course, Linux, we're talking about Linux now. So we're coming to Linux. And then, of course, Solaris host. So generally speaking, if I ask you how many OSs, how many kinds of operating systems do you have? This is where you'll be answering me from. All right? Windows operating systems, OS operating system, Linux operating systems, and then Solaris. So even though the most popular would be Windows and Linux, these four will be your correct answer. All right. So for now, what are we loading? What will be our host? Your host machine. What operating system would it be running? Of course, it will be running Windows. So
the Windows.
Yeah. Okay. So that is downloaded for us. We open when done. All right, it's open now. Then we'll quickly run through. It's a wizard, so we'll just click next, and it's done. Just to be extra cautious. VirtualBox. Well, this is not necessary, but just as a caution, I want to say load entire feature. entire feature will be installed on your local drive. All right, so I don't want you to install partial features. Okay, entire feature will be installed. All right, and then entire feature will be installed. Normally that's taken by default, but just in case, you never know how your own system is. And then once that is selected, you say next, next, yes, good. So my operating system, my VM virtual environment is now installed on top of my Windows operating system. All right, so when you come to say, I haven't done anything, I've done so much. I have installed a VirtualBox. No, you haven't done so much. That's not so much, because that's just 2 seconds installation. Nobody will test you on that. It's not so much achievement. All right, so that's my icon. For me, I like to just put it here, so I have easy access. Please mute yourself if you want to talk outside class. And then I delete that so it doesn't, I have so many things on my desktop. All right, so now I have my icon, so I can load this. All right, welcome to my environment. That is it. Smooth, right? Did you get that?
Yes, yes, we did.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right, so that was smooth. Now we have our environment. What do we want to install on this environment? In this case, we're installing, first of all, let us install a new machine and call the new machine Linux Server 1 or something. And then, of course, we're installing Linux. Linux 64-bit, always 64-bit where you can. Linux 64-bit. We're not really so much concerned about the version, whether it's 2.1 or 2.4. We're more concerned about what it's called the architecture, what architecture is supported, 64-bit architecture. That comes from the motherboard. It's a parameter of the motherboard. But okay, but just that. So how many RAM? I mean, how much RAM are you allocating from your physical RAM to this virtual machine? You notice that because we have said Linux, it is by default taking only 1 gig, right? If we said Windows, it would by default take 2 gig, all right? So we just accept the default. And then we said, and then we say what? This time it's taking only 8 gig. If you were Windows, it will be taking like 50 gig. Oh, that's good. Create. All right, now we have our machine, our computer, our server, our, what other name can you call it? Ready for Linux. This is just the empty machine. All right, so we have created our empty machine and we're ready to install our Linux operating system on that machine. All right, so what do we do now? We install operating system there. We start the machine. The machine is starting now. And then it tells us this machine is empty. So basically I cannot go from this point. What do you need me to do? All right, so I click that and I say add an operating system to this machine. So it's no longer empty. Normally when I download operating system and stuff, it goes into my download folder. There's a folder called downloads. So I open that and I see so many downloads. In this case, what am I looking for? I could come here and see all files if what I'm looking for is not there. I could do all files and it will give me the list of all the different kinds of files that I have downloaded. And then I can scroll down and look for the particular one. Or if I know what I'm looking for, I can look for that one specifically by entering the name. All right, so if I had 1,000 files, instead of scrolling through all of them, I'll just say Linux. Let me look for the one starting with Linux. Maybe it's not called Linux. CentOS. Okay, it's actually called CentOS. All right, right here, I see what I'm looking for. But if I didn't see it, if I just type Cent, it will scroll through and then give me the names of files starting with Cent. But this is what I'm looking for, the ISO. Oh, I've not taught you how to download that. Okay, don't worry about it. So first of all, we need to download the file. The operating system I download from. No, normally it's not good for me. Remember we said that before. It's not good for me to stop this thing midway. Anytime I stop midway, I'm likely to have problem later. So I didn't complete that. Now I'm stopping this to show you something else. It's not so good. I'm likely to have problem with this. In that case, I might need to delete this, but don't worry. I can always create a new one. All right, so now I have a machine. So I need to quickly run to Computer Village now and buy my what? My Linux operating system, right? That I will install on the machine. But here, instead of going to Computer Village, my Computer Village is the internet. So I go to my internet, I go to Google or any other. Are there other Googles? Are there other search engines? Google seems to have taken the place of search engines. So anytime we think of search engine, we're talking Google. Can you mention any other one?
DuckDuckGo.
Sorry?
Bing.
Okay.
Bing.
What else? What else?
Bing.
What did the first man say?
MNS.
DuckDuckGo.
I don't know that one. Can you spell it for me?
DUCKGO.
D-U-C-K.
DUCKGO.
Okay, DuckDuckGo, really? Let's see. I thought Google was the only search engine. So what does this do? Let me see.
This one is for privacy.
For privacy, eh?
Yeah.
Okay, so it says so. So what advantage does privacy have over Google?
Google won't be tracking your movements and selling your data to companies now.
Oh,
So that's
okay.
their profit.
Okay, so this one will keep your data.
Yeah.
Safe.
Yeah, to keep your, like some website, they have this predictive algorithm that they study your behavior such that if you shop for anything online, any other website you go to will start giving you the product.
Definitely, yes. So this one will not do that.
Not do that.
Okay, so I've learned to. Okay, I'll explore this later, and it appears organized. It has so they won't do that until they become big like Google, right?
No, this one, I think this one is privacy focused.
Okay.
Just an alternative.
Okay, DuckDuckGo, privacy browser. Okay, that's good. Got to be honest, I'm actually being irritated now by anywhere I go. Before I leave there, I already have the trail of adverts about that particular topic. It's irritating, very irritating. All right, so I'll look at this. Thank you for sharing this. But in the time being, let's go to the popular Google. So what are we looking for here? We're looking to download our operating system. Okay, so Linux operating system, that's what we're looking for. Linux 7, there are different versions. Linux, I think, yeah, there are different versions. So for this one, let's download Linux 7 ISO, the image file. All right, so we'll look for a good link, not just any link, a good link that's I would trust. So this is what you will do to download Linux. All right, Linux and OS. Actually, when we start Linux, I will explain that. But there are different variants of Linux, different, they call them distributions. For this one, we're going to use CentOS. So more specifically, let us look for the distro called CentOS. CentOS 7 ISO, this is CentOS.org. Oh, from the company direct. That should be good. So we'll check this. So this is what you are going to do. Just doing this, all right? So we have ISO image, that's what we're looking for. Version 8. Version 8 is the latest version. I'm more comfortable with version 7. So let's look at version 7 because that's what I train. And mind you, you don't really have to drop the old operating system and jump at the new one every time a new one comes out. Because most times your company would have built their applications and so many security features around the previous version. So practically speaking, you go to industry and you find people still using version 6, version 5, and version 7. It takes time. You don't just throw away all your legacies and jump at a new one every time they release a new one. So version 7 is very okay. So we look for version 7. We'll take version 7 here, or even version 6 if you want. and then we scroll down to look for where to download. Right? So this is version 8, this is version 7, this is version 6, and then why not this one? X64, because we are familiar with the 64-bit stuff. So why not this? Then the latest, not necessarily latest. CentOS Linux version 7, and then this. Okay, so let's take that. And then you have many options. CentOS 8664, 8664. Okay, they are all 8664. So that's what we are looking for. Right? So we can take any of these links, many of them. So why look for what is already available? What stops us from taking this? CentOS Mirror. All right. Okay, so, and then of course we are looking for ISO, right? You remember we're looking for ISO? So this is like going to a computer to buy DVD containing the image file of CentOS. Are you following what I'm saying? Are you following how you would go about looking for and installing CentOS?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
All right. All right. So we'll click this, and then we now have it downloading. So don't come back to me asking questions about there are so many of them. Which one should I take? So I've navigated through that so that you understand it. So our OS is being downloaded right now. Right? So do you see the CentOS 7 being downloaded, the ISO image? All right, I can say
Yes,
open
sir.
window. All right, so we'll just wait patiently for that to download. And then once it's downloaded, we'll now have our operating system on CD, on DVD, and then we can load our empty machine from that operating system. All right? So that's how to look for the operating system, download it, and go ahead to install it. Any question? Any question? All right, so you go to Google, you type CentOS, or if you want, you can type CentOS 7 ISO download. You can type all of that in full, and then it brings all of this. If you are sure about the source of the first one, so that it will not be a website that is trying to market stuff for you and forcing you to buy stuff. So this looks good because that is the reorganization. So click that and then follow the steps to download. All right, so it's downloading. While that is downloading, it will let us know once the download is complete. Let's look at our virtual environment one more time. That's our machine. Our machine is empty. There is no operating system there. Let me just remove this machine. How do we delete it? We say remove, right? And then when we are removing, remember to say delete all files.
Delete all files.
Yes. All right. So let us quickly create a new machine. What name do you want to call it? I'll call it the same name, Linux Server. Or we may have more than one later, so let's call this all one. And then, of course, 64-bit, that's good enough. All right, next. 1 gig RAM, next, 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 create, and then that's it. All right, so before we start that, ensure that your operating system is ready. Just ensure. So let's wait a little for our operating system to be ready. Still downloading? Let's check our download folder. Where's our download folder? Download is right there. Okay. This is the first one we downloaded. Unconfirmed means it's still downloaded. All right. Once it's fully downloaded, we would have an icon there, a picture there. And then that will change to something. The name will change. All right. So we can take questions while it's downloaded.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
It's Manuel. Just so that I'm clear.
Okay.
The virtual box for Windows is different from that of Linux, right?
No, it's the same thing. Exactly the same thing.
Okay, so it means we don't need to go and download another virtual box to
no.
the one we have right now.
Yes.
Okay, just wanted to. All right, thank you.
I just went through that process too. Some people are fairly new here. They are not. They didn't start completely with us, so just use the opportunity to practice how to download and install VirtualBox.
All right.
Everything we've done so far is exactly the same way we did it in Windows. All right. Question. Victor Ode. Should it be in this class? Yes.
Okay, sir. I don't know if I actually came in late. I'm sorry. The Linux server, how do we download that, sir?
You can't go back there. Just continue from where you stopped. You watch the video now. In any case, we are still downloading it. So we are waiting now for the download to complete. All right. So while we are waiting for download to complete so that we can use it, I'll take questions now. All right, questions. So you watched the video to see what we did before you joined us. But if we go back now, the next person will come back and say, I'm just doing it, then we'll have to follow. All right, so, well, that download is taking some time. Yes.
Okay, I thought, Solaris was a Linux Unix distribution.
Sorry, who was that? Were you asking a question?
Yeah, I'm a bit confused. I thought Solaris was a Unix distribution like Linux and Ubuntu and the likes of that.
Yes, Solaris is Unix. Solaris is Unix. Even Linux is Unix as well.
Because they separated it on the Linux website.
Okay, let's talk about that when we enter class so that we don't lose the other students. Ask the question once we start to talk about Linux.
Okay, so I have a question as well.
Okay.
Yes, so looking at the requirements in terms of the RAM and the hard drive for installing Linux, is it safe to say that the hardware requirements for Linux should not be as maybe rigorous as that of Windows?
Yeah, the requirement for Linux is much less. The resources. The hardware requirement is much less than that of Windows, yes.
So that means it costs organizations to use Linux.
That means what?
Does it mean that it also costs less? Because I want to believe if the hardware requirements is lesser, that means in terms of the machine they want to use to host it, it might be a bit cheaper as well.
Yes, the server. No, we cannot generalize that one. The first one was correct. But to say that running Linux is cheaper, is that what you mean? Than running?
Yeah, I was just trying to from a cost comparison perspective.
No, only from the hardware.
Yeah, hardware side. Okay.
Only from the resource requirement part is correct to that extent.
Okay.
But we cannot now generalize that just because the hardware resources requirements are less, then therefore no, we cannot generalize. One obvious reason we cannot generalize, Chemi. That was Chemi talking, right?
Yes, it's Chemi, yes.
Yeah, because I recognize that. One obvious way, one very obvious one now is that as a Linux engineer, if you are called to come and manage that same system we're talking about now, even though it costs much less to install Linux, you'll be paid higher than the person managing Windows. So that has this cost already.
Okay.
So, and there are other areas. The expertise that you need to manage Linux is more than you need to require. So Linux is cheap as an operating system. In fact, it's free. It might be free. The hardware requirements might be, yeah, but at the end of the day, we cannot generalize that to run. Okay, so we're still waiting for our downloads. So many things going on here. Let me minimize this. Okay, I think it's ready now. Look at it. This image file. All right, it's ready now, I guess. Downloads. Yeah, It's good. This image file. Okay. All right. But I said open when you are done. So why didn't you open? Maybe it opened, maybe. All right. So let's go back to our machine. So Emisi, what are we going back to our machine to do? So we're here. We're back to our empty machine. What are we doing here, Emisi?
So did you call me?
Yes, I did. We're back here. You know, we're here originally, then we left here to do something, and now we're back. What are we going to do now? What should we be doing here?
You're going to add what you downloaded, if I'm correct.
Yes, you are correct. But what did I download? That
The
thing you
lineup.
that
Hello?
yeah, go on.
Hello?
Yeah, Emisi, I can hear you. Go on.
Okay, so I think you're cracking. Or is it just me?
All right.
Downloaded in Linux. So
yeah, that was for Emisi, not for big boys. That was for the young boy. All right, so you are right. When we left here to go download the operating system, now we have the operating system. So now we're coming back here to install the operating system. All right, so how do we install? We'll start the machine. And then we say, go to add, go to downloads, and then look at this one that we installed today, that we downloaded today. And then we say open. And then we say choose that one. And then we say start the machine. That is how to install operating system. Whether it's Linux, or then it says install CentOS. Can you see my screen still?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right. So you go to install CentOS and then you say enter. That is it. All right. So now you know how to. I want to extend that a little. If I can minimize this. All right. So that is it. We're installing now. We're installing our operating system. In this case, our Linux, CentOS. All right, so okay, so what language are we installing? In English, United States English. Next. You can still see me, right? All right, so you be careful here. If you don't do this right, you'll not be able to proceed from here. So time and date. Well, if I like, I set it. If I like, but just to fulfill all righteousness. So what's my time zone? My time zone is set to time zone. Yeah, sometimes it's New York. No, I'm not in New York. I'm in, well, this might take me some time to get. Where am I here? I'm in Chicago time zone.
Texas.
Yeah, Texas is Central Time, and Central Time is under Chicago time. So for me, just like you would say, Nigeria time is under Ghana time and or GMT plus one generally. GMT plus one, that's Nigeria time, but here we use UTC.
West Central Africa.
Yes, correct. Yes, West Africa. So instead of looking for West Africa here, I'm looking for Chicago time zones, called Central time zone. Or I just come here and say, where am I on this map? Where's America? This America. I'm somewhere around here. It's not the rating. No, I'm just helping you relax. So that's my place, and that falls within universal time zone plus -6. So I'm 6 hours behind you. Anyway, I mean 5 hours behind you. But this is what you just do generally, because you could be setting this up for a server in Japan or somewhere. So look for their time zone. In this case, look, the map can help you. You can click here to say this, and then it will pick it automatically. Or I'm in Africa, for example, Nigeria. Look at Nigeria, Lagos. All right. Instead of looking for the actual type, you put Lagos, it will pick it by itself. It's connected to the internet. All right, so that's it. And then we say, but it's not, you don't really have to do this. You don't have to, but I just do it. And then we are done as far as timing is concerned. Keyboard, my keyboard is English, US. My language is English. That's fine. What about the software? Installation media, all right? The software selection. Installation media, local, look inward. Installation source, look inward, look at my system. So that's good. Software selection, you have to check there. In this case, we are loading, we're not doing the minimal installation, no. We're not doing this. We are not doing infrastructure server. We're not doing file server. What we'll take here is server with GUI. So ensure to take this server with GUI. Even though you are installing Linux, you are not really experts yet with Linux. So install the GUI environment, the graphic user interface environment of Linux, because you are just coming from a Windows background. So you want to be able to relate Linux with Windows. So install with GUI so that you're able to use mouse sometimes. But when you become expert, you don't need GUI anymore. You just do. Okay, so for your installation to practice, this is what you choose. And then you say done. All right? All right, so as long as this caution sign comes up, you have work to do. But once the caution sign is clear, oh, that's good. Let's scroll down. And then there's a caution sign here, which means there is work to do there. So you click there. And what are you saying? You click this to say install there. So you have attached a disk. And then you say done. All right, the caution sign is gone. All right, then nothing else. Network hosting, don't worry about all this. All right, so everything is green. No caution, no red, no nothing. Then you can now say begin installation. Begin installation. So once you begin installation, there's something called root. In Windows, that thing you call, that role you call administrator in Windows. In Linux, it's called root. So set your administrator's password. In other words, set your root password. My root password for this server, I'll put it here. All right. And then I'll also enter it here to confirm. Then I'll say done. If I want, I can create a user right away. That's if I want. I don't have to. I don't have to. Should I create a user? Don't worry. Let me not create a user here. So the installation is started already and is being installed. All right. So that's the process you follow to install your Linux LOS. All right. So with that one going on in the background, let's start Linux now. I have a note on Linux. Let me look for my note, Linux, lecture note. And then I'll use this one now to start. All right, Linux module, look at download. So we have looked for download and we have done our installation. We have also installed our virtual environment. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, Linux as an operating system, there are many Linux, first of all, is an open source operating system. So that basically means that you don't have to go and buy the source code that runs your Linux, like you would buy Windows. You understand what I mean by buy? Anytime you want to, there was anyway, basically when you pay for an operating system, in order to use that operating system, you are given the license, so you are buying the license. Linux is not like that. Linux, you can just go download it and start to use it. It's open source. So even when you download and start to use it, you can modify the source code if you're a programmer, if you know how to. That source code, you can tweak it, you can modify it, you can say, I don't want this. You know what I mean? You can modify the source. If you buy Windows, you cannot modify Windows. You use Windows the way Microsoft has prepared it. You cannot modify it. But with Linux, you can modify it. And every time you modify it, you come up with something new. So because of that, we have varying versions of Linux. Because once I have one version and I modify it, it's no longer the same as the original. I can now save as. It's just like I have this document now, and I say, I don't like this. I change it to yellow. Okay? Just by that modification, I've changed this source document to a different thing. I cannot replace the old one with this. I have to save this as a different name now. So you have Linux source code available for anyone to modify. And because of that, you can modify and change to any name. You can change it to Akin Linux, Rufus Linux, or whatever. So for that reason, you have many different versions, many different flavors of Linux. So these different flavors are called distributions. So one Unix distribution is Ubuntu. Another Unix distribution is CentOS. Another Unix distribution is Red Hat. Another Unix distribution is what?
Fedora.
Another Unix distribution is Debian. There are many of them. We're just naming the popular ones. There are thousands of them. Of course, not all of them are popular. I can take any of this now and say, no, I don't like the way Fedora is presenting this. I can tweak it and call it Akin Linux. I can have a Femi Linux and so on and so forth. All right, so these are distributions, but we cannot learn all the different distributions. In fact, we don't have business with all of them. So the popular ones that are common that the industry uses are the ones that we know here. And these are. So it's generally really hard to say this is the most popular, this is the one I should learn. It just depends on what your company uses. However, it's still correct to say that the popular ones are these ones. Because you could mention a name that I have not heard before, that I'm not so familiar with, or that I've not seen a company use before. But these ones, one way or the other, I have seen companies use them. Or I've seen job description expecting applicants to know at least one of these. You get my explanation so far? You get my explanation so far? All right. So Uyo, there are many distributions of Linux. What do we mean by distributions of Linux? It simply means variant from the original Linux operating system, but still within the Linux, still based on the Linux kernel. Okay, you may not know what I mean by kernel. All right. So if I say, give me three different distributions, three distributions of Linux, you could mention Ubuntu, CentOS, and Red Hat. But for our purpose, even though Red Hat is popular, Red Hat has support. It comes with support. And anything that has support, you have to pay for. So Red Hat, even though the original source is popular, people have taken it and built support around it so that you have to pay for the support. So we cannot say that it's completely free. But CentOS is completely free. CentOS is actually Red Hat, but without support. So CentOS could be, you can say it's the same thing as Red Hat, but without what? Without support. So do you get it?
Yes, sir.
All right. So if I ask you now, what's the difference between CentOS and CentOS as a Linux operating system and Red Hat? No difference. The only difference is that CentOS is completely free of charge. Red Hat is free, but if you are using it as your company operating system, then you would have to pay some support resident in Kano or in US or somewhere to say, I'm having a problem here, please help me, I cannot do it. And then they will support you. And support is not free. You pay because they are supporting you, so you pay for the service. So that's the only difference. But as far as the commands and use are concerned, it's exactly the same thing. So that's why sometimes you don't see, they don't mention them separately. They mention CentOS, Red Hat as one. Okay, because essentially they are the same operating system. So do you get that now?
Yes, sir.
All right, good. I'm the one doing all the talk now. Very soon I'll get tired and then I'll be asking you questions. All right, so that is that. Okay, let me just leave that as part of the note. I'll not remove it. All right. Then network adapter for your browser. We already know about network adapters. We'll do that. And then we'll now start to use Linux. All right, before we start to use Linux, let's still play around with Linux. Let me minimize this. This one is still loading, remember? It's in the background. Now let me explain to you what, let me see if I can draw something. Our Linux operating system is still loading. Can you see that it's still loading? Hello?
Yes, sir.
You see that my Linux is still loading. Can you see it?
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, we
Okay.
can see that.
All right. All right. So now, where do we need Linux operating system? Where does it fit in all of this? Is it replacing our Windows operating system? Okay, so go ahead, mute yourself. All right, so you can see my screen now. Now, let me try and draw something here. So if we have your system there, that's your system. And then we'll have another system there, another machine. We have another machine there. We have 15 other machines there. 300 machines in this, on that network. Another machine there. Another machine there. Another computer there. Another computer here. Another computer here. And computer here, and so on and so forth. If you are browsing, what site is popular now? For example, Google. Google is a site that everybody would browse simultaneously. In fact, millions of machines around the world will be browsing Google simultaneously. So Google. So if we are browsing Google, and if we assume that this machine now represents 100,000 units of machine, even though we are drawing one there, we actually mean 100,000 machines. So what operating system ideally would this machine, would each of these machines be running? What's the operating system? That's the simplest question anybody can ask. If you don't know the answer to that question, go back and do our
Windows.
Windows operating system.
Yes, Windows is the, that's how you learned Windows. All right, so this one will be running Windows. This one will be running, ideally, Windows, and so on and so forth. Now you have 100,000, millions of machines drawing or making requests for Google page from another computer. So it's making a request, and then this computer will return and deliver the request. Did you get that one now?
Yes, sir.
So this one is also making requests. Please, through a port called port 80 using HTTP protocol, please give me Google web page. Oh, this is the Google web page. So you make a request, and then you get a response, positive response, and then the page is loaded to your browser. You make that request from your browser using HTTP. This one makes a request, and then you get it. So what name would you call this computer that every machine, every computer is making requests to?
Server.
Correct.
Server.
Correct.
Server.
Very correct. So that would be a server. And then this computer that is making that request to this server, in that case, will be called what?
Client.
Host. All right. Host?
Client.
Yeah, let's stick with client. Well, there could be other names, but for now, since these are the terminologies you know, Let's stick with them. All right, so you get the picture now. That's good, you are getting the picture. So that's a server. And now, if this server was providing a database, if this client was querying a database, and then this server is returning database query results to this client, then this server will be what? Database server, right?
Yes, sir.
If you was requesting for a file, and then this server provides the file to that client, then it will be what? File server. So in this case, what is the request? The request for through a browser would automatically use the protocol HTTP. So even if you do not add HTTP, any request you make through a browser is using HTTP protocol. So servers that are servicing requests related to HTTP, what are those servers called?
Web server.
Web servers.
Web servers.
This is my students, they are learning now. So this is a web server.
Hot.
Yeah, they are hot. So that's a web server as far as this service we are describing is concerned. Now, this one is running Windows. This one is running Windows. This one is running Windows. Millions of computers concurrently at the same time trying to connect to this server, making requests, web service related. Do you think it would be ideal for this system to also run the same operating system that these children are asking it, are using to ask it for service?
No.
It's going to
It's not ideal.
It's going to be overwhelmed.
Right.
It's going to be overwhelmed. There is no way it can meet all of those requests. It's just like you are using a tablespoon to eat from here. You're using a tablespoon to eat from here. You're using a tablespoon to eat. Oh, you're not seeing my hand, sorry. Okay, can you see my pen?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
All right. So you're using a tablespoon to eat from here. You're using a tablespoon to eat from here. You're using a tablespoon. This guy is using a tablespoon to eat from here. And then you are saying that this server should use tablespoon to provide the meal that this guy will use. How many? So you need a big kind of, in fact, you need a trailer to load this place so that you'll be able to provide enough food for these people to use tablespoons to eat concurrently. Are you getting it now?
Yes, sir.
So you don't use the same kind of spoon that you used to eat to provide the meal. You need a bigger kind of spoon. So that bigger kind of spoon that you need here, that bigger kind of bandwidth, that bigger kind of ruggedability, that bigger kind of, call it whatever name, your Windows will not do. So it is in this case that you need a more robust, a more reliable, a more secure, a more everything operating system. And that operating system will generally be some Unix. Unix, let me change the color here. Unix, can you see what I'm writing? Unix-based operating system. Did you say that? Unix. Can you see?
Yes, sir.
All right. So that will be a Unix-based operating system. So this is where you use, and then there are Unix-based operating system generally means it's generally the other side of Windows. Whereas Windows is graphic user environment, Unix is not graphic user. Unix is command line, which means there are no graphics. You need to type commands. All right. And when you say graphic, when you say Unix environment, what comes to mind, the kind of operating systems that are Unix will be, virtually all other kinds of operating system other than Windows. And then you would have generally the original Unix-based operating system called Solaris. Okay, Solaris. I'm not there. And then, of course, the other one that is more popular would be Linux or Linux. It's okay, however you call it. All right. So Linux. The difference is that Solaris is proprietary. It's not really common, but Linux is open source. Anybody can go there, download it, and start to use it immediately. So that is why Linux is much more popular than the more proprietary Solaris. So if a company like HP takes Linux now and modify Linux in such a way that it will fit their own, they would customize it to fit their own equipment and use it for, then it's no longer and then remove it from being open source. There's no longer the general open source Linux. It's now proprietary to them because they use it only for themselves and on their equipment. So they will call it Sun Solaris or something, HP Solaris or something Solaris. But Linux is open source, it's always there. All right. But they are both operating systems built around the same kernel. When I say kernel, you know that an egg will have a yolk, right? And then the abdomen around it. I used to see my drawing.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this core, this yolk is the real thing. Taking it from an egg is the real thing. The core is called the core, the inside. But this other one, so instead of calling it yolk, like you call it in egg, we don't call it yolk, we call it kernel. Kernel. I can't use that anymore. KERNEL, I guess. All right. And then this other one that we call abdomen here, we don't call it that, we call that shell. So Unix will simply means that irrespective of what the operating system is that is built around it, they hold the same kernel. It's just the shell around it that might be different. All right. Anyway, I don't know if that's confusing you for that, but what I mean generally is that, essentially is that they share the same core operating system, but the way they work as far as the human-machine relationship is concerned is maybe slightly different. But the machine language is said, the real machine code around which it is built is the same. So that's what I mean by kernel, but different shell. Anyway, so Linux is a Unix-based operating system, just like Solaris. So that answers your question, Moya. And then, of course, I already explained to you that within Linux, there are now different kinds of Linux. Although the core of the Linux remains the same, the shell around it, the way humans operate it, are slightly different. So these slightly different kinds of Linux, they are called distributions. Distro is the short form of distribution. And there, that's what we mentioned, Ubuntu, and so on and so forth. All right, any question now? So, any question? Mute yourself unless you want to talk to me. Any question? Jamie?
Yes, I'm here.
Any question?
No, I don't have any questions, sir.
So, Shemi, you now see the place where that Linux is not necessarily replacing Windows. That Linux is special and it's used on servers. So that's why they are called Linux. They are enterprise operating systems. In other words, they operate here. So we're not saying learn Linux so that you can use it to replace your Windows operating system. No. Your Windows operating system remains in use at the client end. But you're now moving from the client end to the server end. In other words, from to the enterprise environment. This is enterprise. Everything happening around here is now enterprise.
Okay.
So when they ask you, where can you use Linux? Just think of any place where there are servers that are servicing millions of people. That's where you can use Linux. And can you think of any place like that? Of course, you can think of millions of places like that. Whether you are servicing video in Netflix, or you are servicing web pages on Google, or you are servicing voice in WhatsApp, or you are serving, as long as you need many people to depend on that service at the same time, then Linux is, Unix is the operating system there, Unix-based operating system there. So Linux is a Unix-based operating system, and that's why we're learning Unix. That's why we're learning Linux. So there is no place where you don't need Linux, unless you are working in a bank. In a bank, you are not an IT company, you are not servicing, so you may not need to learn Linux. But what about the people that run the server that the bank depends on for their 15 million customers to get alert and to get that server that the bank depends on, even though bank is not an IT company, would definitely not run on Windows. I'm not talking about the small, are you still seeing my diagram? You know, this is a network. I'm not talking about the small server inside here that is running Windows operating system, but that's not the server I'm talking about. You know, this is a LAN now, representing 100,000 computers or 10,000 computers. And this is another LAN representing 50 computers. Inside this LAN, there is a server, your domain controller. Do you remember?
Yes, we do.
Yes, sir.
So that's not the server I'm talking about. That is the server within your LAN. I'm talking about this server that is, I'm not talking about this server serving 50 people or servicing 500 computers or servicing 300 computers. I'm talking about this server serving the services that even these 300 computers require, these 700 computers require, these 10,000 computers require outside their LAN. That is the server I'm talking about. That is the enterprise server that will need more robust and more secure operating system. If you use Windows on this server here, your Windows will turn blue. There's something called blue screen in Windows. It will crash when 20,000 people are trying to access it. And the server is down. And that server will permanently be down because it cannot support the, is there a word like robustity? Cannot support the, okay, the features that you need to sustain that network. It's very important for you to have this at the back of your mind so that when you are studying Linux, you know what you are studying.
Okay, so I have a quick question, sir. Mm-hmm. So in terms of this, is it safe to think like in a big organization, that means that to manage the LAN from a LAN perspective, you know, you can actually have a Windows server managing those small network of server within.
Yes.
Then also have the Linux as well to help to support with the millions of other LANs that it's going to be exchanging information with.
Yes, but that will not be for the organization, or that may not be unless the organization is Google.
Oh, okay.
Or big organizations that have millions of people depending on their service.
Oh,
so if the scenario you just gave is for a bank, the bank will stop at the level of the Windows server running the 300 phone. In fact, in figure, if you want us to assign figure, generally we see number of computers. If they are less than 10,000, Windows is okay to service them. Windows server is okay. But when we're talking 20,000, 30,000, 40,000, 100,000, Windows is no longer adequate. But that's just theoretical. In practice, you may not even want to go beyond 300 computers for Windows.
Okay, no, I get that. Means in a case like Linux, that means most organizations that will be needing Linux, their server will be serving maybe more practically the public, because the public organizations will probably be needing, like you mentioned, Google will need to use a Linux server.
Yes,
because
or maybe not Linux, a Unix-based operating system server.
Unix, yeah, okay, Unix, okay.
Okay. Or the first scenario you painted was almost correct. Just to correct that, the first part of the bank depending on a Windows Server operating system to manage their 300 LAN, correct. But the second part is, where would they now need a server operating system? Now, the bank will have 300 computers at the VI office, 13 computers at the Orile office, 50 computers at the Ikeja office, 75 computers at Onitsha office, and then calculate all the branches around the whole country. 50 there, 70 there, 35 there, depending on how big the branch is. So altogether, all the bank networks, all the computers within the bank, all together now, will be connecting to a central database now, right? A central database of all the 20 million customers of the bank. So that when a customer moves money from his account, because it is a single central database, everyone is aware because they are tuned to that database simultaneously. So even though there are many independent local area networks across all the 300 branches of the bank, all the 75 plus 30 plus 300 computers within that LAN are still connected to the same database. Do you get it?
Yes.
So what operating system will run on that machine that houses the database?
Unix.
Unix-based operating system. But that server may not necessarily be owned by the bank, or because the bank may not be an IT company, well, unless they decide to go into IT, would likely be hosted by Amazon or okay, maybe not even cloud, but by somewhere special, by a special contractor.
Yeah.
Somewhere outside the bank, outsourced to some Indian company. Even though the server will be resident in Nigeria, I think their policy does not allow them to say that server must be in Nigeria. But whatever it is, can you afford for that server to go down for 1 second, for 1 minute?
Not at all.
Not at all. So because you cannot afford that, you want to make sure that this is at least, there are many things you will do to ensure that it doesn't go down for 1 second. But one of the least things is to put an operating system on that machine that is so reliable you can almost guarantee that 99.9% of the time this server is up. Unless it's other issue relating to power and other, as far as its operating system related concern, this operating system is so reliable that it will host this database. That's where Unix comes in. So my point now is that server may not necessarily be owned by the bank, because it takes a lot of things to put that kind of server in place. A lot of technical know-how. Do you get it now?
Yes, we do, sir.
Did I confuse you further, or did I? Yes.
No, sir. On point, sir.
Okay. So at unit level, you are not the level of the boys working at the operating system. You are a bigger boy than the boys working on the Windows server within the LAN. You are bigger than that. You are a big boy. You are working at the server that services them.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Okay.
Hello?
Yeah, that's Suleiman. I can hear you.
Hello?
All right, if you cannot hear me, we have to.
Sir, is it safe to say the Linux is purely... Yes, sir. Is it safe to say the Linux is meant for enterprise operations?
Yes, Linux is an enterprise operating system. The full meaning of Red Hat is Red Hat Enterprise Linux. RHEL. That's
okay.
That's what we call Red Hat Enterprise Linux.
Okay.
So Unix is always enterprise OS, always enterprise. Unix is not meant to be used as a single operating system within LAN. It's meant to be used at enterprise level. And everything we are describing here so far is what we mean by enterprise level. All right, thank you. So if we're done here, there are no questions here. I'll leave here now. Any questions about this drawing?
So the question I have is not really about the drawing, but it's from an experience I had. So I was just imagining something. Because I once had I was once with a client in Ghana where it was they were saying something like this. You know, they said they are managing. As a matter of fact, they work 24/7 because they host data, you know, for other, like more or less like a third party. Yeah, like what we just discussed here. So, but is it possible that for like the scenario we gave now, a company can be hosting data for a bank?
Yes, now.
Yes, but is it possible for a company like that to like to host for different, like maybe 10 other customers?
Yes.
Okay.
That's the kind of work I would love to do when I return to Nigeria. Just, but again, the question will be, do they trust me enough to, once the trust is there, you have a brand and then, you see. Yeah, that's what people do now. That's what people do. There are many companies like that. Their own work is just, Amazon is one. Amazon, not the retail Amazon, the AWS Amazon. So their own work is just to hold data like that scenario you just described now, for other companies. That's just the work.
Okay.
That's just the work. I have one of my old trainees in the UK who works for a company that hosts data for that company. And then he was sent to France as part of the team to go and look at the physical equipment that hosts their own servers, that host data for their own clients. And then he was sharing with me his experience that when he got there, the different levels of security that he had to pass through to enter the server room. And then the server room was all server, how you had to scan the iris, and then it just like you will see in the movies. So there are warehouses like that where people from all over the world will save data to. And then once in a while, they may want to go there and do one thing or the other. But the work of that company is only to save data, like this, your Ghana people, just save data. Of course, not for one company, not for two companies, for different companies. And then I think he also shared a scenario, either in the same company or in a different company, where he had to go like 15 stories underground, not upstairs, not going up. 15-story building down into the ground. Just so, as part of, because we are talking about security now at operating system level, but for physical security, people will build safes. This safe we're talking about now, they will build them into the ground so that even if the earth collapses on the top, at least your data is still safe underground because the building is inside, down. So different levels of security, physical, spiritual, psychological, just to make sure that data is protected. That's why I said it's too big for banks to handle. It's not just as simple as going to the market, buying a server and putting it up. There are so many things you want to do to make sure that server is always up and nothing ever happens. Like I said on many occasions, that even if the world collapses right now and there's only one man still alive, he's still able to access. I mean, that data is still available if he wants to continue to run that business. So, yes, this business is that serious. This business is that serious. This business is not just go buy server, put OS. No, it's more than that. However, irrespective of where these servers are, even though they are not physically located near you, you should learn these technologies to be able to work on servers remotely. And that's where the concept of cloud comes in. Yes, they are physical somewhere in France, 15-story underground. You have to pass through 7 levels of security, from scanning your thumb to scanning your eyes to almost being naked before you go in. yes, wherever it is, you should be able to access it without having to pass through all of those physical security to see it physically. You should be able to access it remotely. All right, so that's what we're ultimately going, but we are learning the tools that will help us to do it remotely when we get there.
Hello, sir. Hello, sir.
Yes, please.
Yeah, I just want to believe. Well, I was just imagining what, based on what you've been saying, and from the perspective of, I mean, when we during the Windows class, we discussed about having a replica. So I was just imagining, or I want you to tell us the number of replicas. I'm sure this server would have a number of replicas, just so that the reliability is intact, so that if peradventure, if anything happens, which I believe will not, but I'm sure, so that because
it will happen. That's why you are spending so much money to. Yes, carry on.
A couple.
So what is the number of replicas you need to guarantee that if anything happens, you are still in business?
I'm just wondering exactly. Yeah, because in this case, it may not be, in Windows class, we talked about maybe just having one. But since, based on what we have here, I was just wondering the number of replicas you would
need
have.
More than one, because this business is serious, right? That's your thinking.
Exactly.
Yes, in cloud, you will not. In fact, one of the things about cloud, which is where we are going, is that it is not your business anymore to worry about replicas.
Okay.
So this you're worried about. If this business is that serious, then we should have like 20 replicas so that no matter what happens, it's not your work to do. Don't worry about it. In cloud, just click a button to say replicate for me. And it is not Amazon's business to know. So we'll talk about regions, the different regions available, and then we'll have cross-region replication. We'll talk about within regions, how many availability zones are available. We'll talk about cross availability zone. So that will take care of itself. But it's a very major point that you raised. There is need for high reliability and high reliability and high
scalability. Scalability.
Yes, scalability is normal. To make sure durability, yes, to make sure that this thing endures forever and ever. That even if anything happens, so high level durability and high scalability. That is part of the things that are taken care of. And that's why cloud is popular and is preached, because how many servers can you buy by yourself to replicate here and there? How many can you do? If you can replicate across Nigeria, one in Kano, one in Calabar, one in... What about if the whole of Nigeria crushes, for example, whether politically or otherwise? So that way, we want to make sure that even if the whole of Japan goes down, Japan can go to another land, go to water, set up another Japan, and go back to business as if nothing happened. Because all the data that they need to continue all the different kinds of business that they do, they are already backed up in America, in Brazil, in one or two other regions. So they'll just call up their data and continue life. So that was why when World Trade Center went down, they just went into another building, and then business just continued like nothing happened, because the data, because of this high reliability and replication that we're talking about. But you get there on your 6th month, you get there, and all of this will now appear like normal to you. All right, so for now, let's come back to our tiny Linux class. We have traveled around the world in our imagination. All right, so what are we doing now? Let's check if our operating system is now loaded. So how do we share? We'll go to sharing, all right, so what do we have here? CentOS is now successfully installed and ready to use. Okay, so reboot. All right, so that's how to install CentOS or any other Linux operating system for that matter. All right. So then We spent like 1.5 hours already. Anyway, we're not doing much. All right, so this is where we are. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, sir.
All right, so let's continue. The installation is complete. So we just click this. There's a caution sign here, so you can't do anything until you complete this. License not accepted. What do you do here? Send over, blah, blah, blah. I accept license. All right, done. All right, finish configuration. All right. In English, nothing serious here, just normal. Next, privacy, next. Time zone. I already set time zone. Don't worry about this. There where I can skip this. I already set my time zone. Why are you asking me again? Okay, so in any case, Central Time, that's my time zone. Central Time, America, United States, under Chicago, yeah. Okay, so next, connect to my online account. Skip. Okay, you know the user account I did not create earlier on, still asking me. I only created my root account. Okay, at this point, I may create or I could, let me see if I can log in as root instead of creating an account. No, I already created root. Let me create an account. Let me create A Akin. So my username will be A Akin. All right, and then I say next. What's the password for A Akin? I'll enter a password. All right, next. And then start using CentOS. All right, so finally, our installation is complete now, I guess. All right. So we are ready to go. This is the graphic user environment that we said it should install. Remember, we said with GUI. All right, so you can look around here, but nothing serious here. Nothing serious to do here. So we can close that. And then this is our graphic user environment of Linux, not Windows, of Linux. But our interest is not in graphic user. We already learned everything we need to know about graphics, about graphic user environment in Windows. What we want to do with Linux is go straight to system tool and go to terminal. So in Linux environment in the industry, you will not see anything graphic. All you will see is this environment. This environment. It could be black, it could be white. But this is called the command line interface. So this is Linux. This is what you see in Linux. Okay, Linux. This is Linux now. So what we'll be learning in Linux is what do we do here? What do we do here? How do we see what's available? How do we change directory to desktop and see what's there? But before we move to do, who am I? Who am I on this system? I am A Akin. Okay. I don't want to be A Akin. Okay. Print working directory. What's here? A Akin. All right. So, in fact, we'll be learning commands. That's what we'll be doing here. All right. So what I need you to do is go on, install your own operating system, Linux, then come up to date, then get ready to begin to learn how to use Linux to do everything we have done in Windows. Everything you learned in Windows, you want to be able to do them using Linux, this Linux that we are in now. All right. Want to be able to copy file from one place to another, create a file, create a network using Linux. All those things you learned about machine, network environment, how do we settings? They are still the same here. Network, NAT. You know that this network cannot connect within NAT. What do you need to do to make it connect to another system? Make it host only. All those things, they are still valid. All right. So, and then ultimately we'll set up another. In fact, we can do that now. We can set up another Linux machine so that there'll be two of them that can connect the two of them together in a network and then be able to practice with. We have one Linux server and then we have another Linux server. How do we transfer files? how do we SSH? There's something called SSH, very, very powerful. That is what makes it possible for you to work remotely, sit in Nigeria and work in a server, work on a server in cloud, work on a server in US, work on a server elsewhere. SSH into it. So all of those things we are going to learn from this command prompt right here. Can you see me? We are going to learn all of them right here within this command prompt. Everything we'll be doing will be through here, nothing from graphics. All right. So questions by way of introduction.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah. My question is, based on the drawing you made when you were describing the different lands and how they get connected to the Unix, to server, which is Linux based in this situation. Okay. I was just wondering that, basically before we've had a situation whereby we've transferred files, or there have been a means of communication between the Windows server and the client. So I was just thinking that is there a way, or I want to believe there will be a way of whereby there will be a communication between a Unix server and maybe the domain controller, a Windows domain controller. I mean, a means of sharing information and things like that. Is that possible? Or like file
I don't
sharing?
really get your question.
No, what I'm trying to say is that,
please, if you are not,
can you share documents? Can you share files between this Linux-based server and a Windows domain controller or Windows client?
Yeah, you can share files between a Linux-based operating system and Windows-based operating system.
Okay.
Definitely. Why you networking? You cannot.
Go off and on like that.
Okay. And
that will be done, I keep saying, mute yourself. Yeah, everything in Linux is through the command line. Everything.
Okay.
Everything. So there's no need to ask if it's through the command line. Yes. You can share files. You can copy files from one server to another, especially from Linux to Linux. And then as you advance more and more and more, you learn how to do it from Linux to other operating systems, and so on and so forth.
Okay. Okay.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. You said everything about Linux is basically using the command stuff. Okay. Does it mean we'll have to start cramming all the commands?
I knew you were going there. I knew you are scared already. Yes, so you cram the commands.
So, for example, we're called for an interview, for one thing or the other, for one job role or the other. Then we're asked, to perform or execute certain, should I say, schedule or task. Then using the Linux, so doesn't mean we'll have to, I don't know, we'll have to come up with whichever. We'll just have to have this command.
You have to cram them. You have to cram them. But by the time you use them often and often, they will not be cramming anymore, even though they appear like that's the best word now. They will just become part of you.
Okay.
They will not be cramming. But in any case, the tools are always there on Google and on the resources are there. Your tools as a Linux person, in fact, as a software person, as a network administrator, it's not to carry a toolbox everywhere you go. Your tools are available online. So you're allowed to quickly go online, copy, and come and play. But
okay.
It's not beyond that stress. Google is everything.
All right.
In my days when there was no Google, then we'd have to memorize this thing. But just use them 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. They become part of you. Then the ones that you cannot remember, you're allowed to go to Google and copy and paste until they become part of it.
Those are days of Windows 98, Windows Me.
Yeah, what about that? Sanusi?
Yeah, is this a command that we're still talking about?
Yeah.
Loading Windows 98 those days. Just has to be command. And,
okay.
Windows Millennium, that time.
Have you been around since Windows 98 times?
Yes. I can still remember. I can still remember loading Windows 98 and Windows.
How old are you? How old are you, Sanusi? How can you be talking about Windows 98? How old are you?
Yes, I remember.
What year was that?
Back then? Even Windows Me, Windows 2000.
Yeah, Windows 2000 I can understand, but Windows 98.
Yes, I load 98. I can still
Wow.
remember loading itself. The command cd md cd those directory. Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
Yes.
I started with Windows 95. In fact, I started by the time Windows 95 came out. I had already done 2 years in IT. So I used WordPerfect, Lotus. WordPerfect, Lotus, and Lotus 123.
That's why we are learning from their ancestor.
Yes, ancestor in IT. I started with DOS. It was DOS prompt. So
DOS prompt.
Make command. I was already a trainer at DOS prompt as a use copper. So I was teaching make directory, change directory, cd .dos, cd slash. And that is what I brought over to Linux. And that's why I'm very good in Linux.
Wow. Okay.
You have tried though, so you know Windows 98.
98, yes.
You must be my second in command.
It's just an ancestor, sir. It's an ancestor. This is just an ancestor. Second ancestor.
I've been teaching computers since 1994. 1994 with DOS prompt. So Windows 95 came and met us. So we just moved from DOS prompt from WordPerfect to Word, then from Lotus 123 to Excel, and then that's how far we've been coming. And the good thing is all of those technologies, they are still relevant these days. They are just called different names and just modified and called modern names, but they are nothing is old, nothing is thrown away. They are still very useful. Very, very useful. All right, Jimmy.
Okay, no, thanks. I think we've been learning a lot from the contributions. But I was looking at a case where we want to, because a lot of the things we've been learning in these classes from the Windows server side to this, it's been in a virtual environment. And I know we've made reference to some physical objects like routers, switches. But so for some of us that maybe might be picking up a job like this in a company, where we know it's more of an enterprise environment where most of these things are physical. Are we good enough to take up sub jobs? Because I don't think I've seen a router. Maybe I've seen it, but or switches, because if you go to such companies, all the cables are all, is it our job to lay the cables? Or, I wanted to just understand how it's been applied, because everything here has been in a virtual environment. Applying this to a physical environment where it's enterprise.
Everything will remain enterprise. They will remain. Who is this? There are people that are eavesdropping in this class, so that shouldn't be here, but we'll take care of that. Let me just allow them today. Yes, Chemi, we've answered this before if you look at the previous videos.
Okay.
We've answered this question, but basically, no, it's not your work. I think it was Uyo that asked. It's not your work to lay cables. It's not your work to install physical routers. It's not your work to do any of those things. Your work is just to start as with the functions that we learned under Windows administration. Now, we're not training you unless you are lucky to have started earlier, like Shanusi, and you are familiar with all of these things. We're not training you. This training is not about going to the old ways of doing things. Physical routers, physical switches, no. It's not to say it is, in fact, it's useful if you know it, but it's not to say it's useless. But we are preparing you for the future that is replacing all of these legacies of physical routers, physical switch, physical server room, go and buy server, come and install server and do it the CD ... way that Abiodun was talking about. That is old. That's not what we're teaching you. We're teaching you from now into the future. And from now into the future is cloud. Replacing all of these things that you are clinging onto, that you are holding onto, that you don't want to let go. Taking that off you and replacing them with virtual environment. So I'm not trying to teach you to go and buy a Cisco router and physically configure it like we used to do when we were teaching CCNA. We'll be looking for router all around Lagos to bring to class to teach people. No, that is old-fashioned. That is not the new world. The new world is doing away with all of those and coming to the now and the future. The now and the future is cloud. Well, all of these things are now virtual. You will learn how to configure routers, routing tables. You will learn how to configure access lists. You will learn how to do switching. In fact, you will learn many more things that were not even around then. Machine, you could learn. I'm not teaching you those ones, but you could advance to the level where you learn machine language, artificial intelligence, and a lot of, there are so many thousands of things to learn in the future. Don't bother yourself with this past. So we're not training you to take you from the past to the present before continuing. No, we're taking you from where you are now into the future. So don't feel handicapped because you don't know everything that I knew 20, 30, 10 years ago. No. Don't worry about it. There is so much to learn now and for the future. That's what you should be worrying about. In my time, there was no GSM, there was no Google, there was no, so many things that were not then that are now. So focus on learning them. So I'm not training, this training will not qualify you per se to go and work in an enterprise environment. This training will qualify you to work in virtual environment, cloud, okay. Cloud is the apex, the highest point of virtual environment. So we're training you for cloud engineer, cloud DevOps, cloud this, cloud. In cloud, we don't talk physical, we talk virtual. You will still learn how to do all of that, but not with physical equipment, devices.
Okay, so you've defined it.
You get it, Jamie?
Yes, it makes sense. Yes, thank you, sir.
Yeah. So release your beliefs. You know, you want to become a rich man. You have to remove all these beliefs of limitation of mind. So empty your mind of all those. Anyway, you are even good because you're already in the industry. I mean, yours is still good. What about people like? I mean, you have seen some of these things by virtue of your travel around. And what about people that have not even seen even a cable before? And they'll still do well.
Like Emmanuel.
Emmanuel, are you sure you haven't seen a cable before?
I just want to make a suggestion. Yeah, I don't know.
All right. Yes, go on.
Okay. For the person that just spoke, I would just suggest if you can also, maybe if you want to see those items you see your router, just browse online to see how they look like, because the virtual connection we are doing here is the same thing they will see do. Having said that, you know, in Nigeria, it's difficult to, in most enterprise, like for me, for example, I work in a multinational, APM terminal to be precise. But even at that, they still have a server in there, which we still have some switch, some routers. I'm not in the IT department anyway, I'm in finance. So, but they still have those small things, which during interview, or maybe if you're going for work, they might ask those things. And you might know the theory, but the practical might seem hard to some people anyway. That's what I'm saying. Maybe as you're learning this, you can also go online to browse a particular thing, just see how they look like. And when you know the virtual way that you connect this to this, then you know is this cable you're connecting from this switch to this one, the line out is being done for people that have not seen it. I just think that might also help. Thank you.
Yeah, good contribution. But of course, my assumption is that even though I'm saying that is not what I'm training you for, my assumption is by the time you understand this theory and you step out of your room someday to go to, even if it's just a bank, and you are at the counter and you are seeing beyond the counter to what's happening in the background, everything will be making sense to you as to, okay, what do they have in front of them? There's no system unit. Oh, this must be a virtualized environment. Yes, everything should be making sense based on the theory that you already know, without somebody really coming to say. So my assumption, even though I answered that question like that, is that once in a while, you come into an environment maybe a small environment, maybe a big environment, where you will see this infrastructure in place and it will just click. It will just click that this must be this. Okay, let me check. Look at the cable, it's actually running. Then, oh, look at it inside. Oh, that must be the router. Everything will just make sense. But to beyond that making sense, and beyond the fact that during this course of discussion, you have taken time to watch extra videos on YouTube, you have taken time to Google, what does the switch look like? Because you cannot tell me that having mentioned switch at least 7 times in the last 1 month, that you have not taken the pains to Google, show me a picture of a switch. If you have not done that, then you are not fit for IT. You have not taken that extra, this router that they mentioned, what is a router? What does it look like? Router, then you click image and you just see it. If you have not done that, then you are not fit for IT. You should have taken at least that step. So having done these little things on top of this, what we're doing is not theory, it's practical, but in a virtual environment. I cannot overemphasize that virtual environment is as real as a physical environment. So
yes, right. Let me just also say something. Like in my place of work, all these things we taught us in Windows administration. Before I joined this class, I did see them and they look like magic to me.
Okay.
But if I apply or if I move to IT now, I will successfully do everything. Because during that period, I have file sharing, they come and configure it. I know the IP and everything before but I don't know the in-depth or the back end of how it works. Like sometimes they will say, we have 5 files, you can only access this, you can access this, you can read this, you can't read this. And this is for management. When you click, it's not opening, but now, even when they want to configure something, if an administrator doesn't come, you can't do it. But well, I'm happy I am taking this list. Thank you once again.
Oh, that's good. That's awesome. We also have a similar experience from my other class. We just completed cloud yesterday, Saturday, yeah? No, today, Sunday, yes. And then the guy had piled up, it's a very experienced network engineer, very experienced in Lagos. He had piled up questions, and every time he asked questions, it was like, I was pushing, don't worry when we get to class. Don't worry when we get to class. So finally, we're supposed to do cloud, that last class in cloud on last week, Saturday, not yesterday. And then because this guy had asked so many questions that I postponed to class, I had to postpone that class so that I'll get answers to all his questions ready. And then we did hold the class on yesterday. And then we took that aspect of cloud, all those questions, because of what you already knew before we came to class, we're able to tackle all those questions one by one. And the whole picture, everything we had done from beginning and all because it was experienced. Yes, even though the other people were benefiting from the class, but there were particular questions that he needed answers to. Anyway, at the end of the day, everything made sense. We're able to relate everything together. And it was like, oh, finally, this was what I always wanted. Okay. Because in that environment, just like Sheung, he was working as a network engineer. He was working with people who were into virtualization, into clouding, but it was just in the enterprise department of that organization. So as an enterprise person, he was always interfacing and working with other team members that were in cloud. And then they will come to make requests. But at the end of the day, everything made sense. He was not able to, okay, just like Sheung was saying, was not able to relate everything. Okay. How do you now, at the end of the day, how do you merge your enterprise network to your cloud environment? And if you have 2 cloud environments, how do you merge them together? A lot of things. What kind of gateway do you put here? How do you configure them? And these things are essentially simple once you understand the fundamentals. So just like Sheung now, once you get the fundamentals, you understand the science behind it. Everything that you knew, that you had them say, even though it was 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, last year, they will begin to make sense. They'll begin to make sense.
I can also relate to Sheung's experience too.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okoyemi, you want to tell us more about how you relate?
Yeah, no, what I'm just trying to say is exactly what he said is what I've had such experience too, because basically I work in I work in an environment whereby I don't work in IT, I work in operations. But basically the administrator will come, login access, you can access this, you can access this, this is logged out, this is not for you, and stuff like that. So, as he said, that, well, I had a little idea, but, well, since it's not my stuff, I didn't bother about it anyway. But what Windows, this Windows Server Administration class exposed me was just the way they operated, you know. So it was really expository for me, really expository. So, and a good, very good background for me.
Okay.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Don't worry. One day now they will say, where's the person? They say, it's not at work. And they say, how do we do this thing? And this person is not at work. And you just say, well, let me try. Okay, I mean, do you know this thing? I don't know, but just let me give it a try. Okay, let me, and you do it. From that day, your life will just change. There was a similar experience of one of my very close boys. And then he was working for a small cloud company in Nigeria. Yeah, a small cloud company, actually as the IT manager. But because it's a small company, somebody can just decide, I'm not coming to work today because I want to punish management or something. So this, one of his, the boy in charge did not come to work. I think he had deliberately wanted to just sabotage the company. And then as the IT manager, I mean, he had to get the work done. So he just sat there. And then somehow he was able to manage to do stuff. And he eventually did it, he would say, even a better and more efficient way than the other guy would have done it. And then, of course, his light just shone that from that point. You mean, so by the time that guy was ready to come back to work, he was not allowed to come because somebody had already taken the opportunity of his absence to shine. That was how the guy lost the job, because he thought by not coming to work, he would miss him so much and beg him. And but it was wrong, because my boy did it with all of this understanding. He was able to do it even in a better way. And then he came back to say, okay, look at what I did today. And from that now, this company doesn't joke with me anymore. They respect me more now. There was nothing to promote him to because already an IT manager, but his position became more, attracted more respect. All right, good. Good. So we'll not go into configuring Linux today. So that's how we install Linux, and then next time we're gonna continue from there to use Linux commands. All right. So we talked about. So let me see what we have here. Network adapter for, okay. We've already done this in Windows. There's no need to talk about that anymore. So this is where we stop now on this syllabus. We're going to start here on Tuesday. File manager commands, navigation command, system navigation, and then we're going to learn how to make directory, change directory, and we'll learn these commands and many more commands. We're going to learn so many commands, as many as you can, until we get to some point where we'll now begin to network in Linux environment, create user accounts within Linux, manage users like we'll manage them in Windows, change file. Linux has some very powerful commands.
Listen.
And the good thing about Linux is that whatever you are doing in Linux, it's not just affecting that machine, it's affecting the entire 1 million people that are one way or the other connected to your machine. So who will you pay more? The person who configures and administers the domain controller for 700 users, or the person who configures and administers an enterprise Linux server that controls 3 million users? Who would you pay more? Definitely the one that controls 3 million guys. So Linux guys are paid more than Windows. Yes, question?
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Now, talking about the command prompt or the command language that is used on Linux, is it that every computer understands those languages or just Linux related systems?
No, they are exclusively Linux commands. So you have to run them on
So when you're done with that one, there's like an interface, or there's a way the Windows now connects to those command prompts?
Why are you worrying about Windows now? Don't worry about Windows. Linux is enterprise. You are working at Google on a Google server. Why are you worrying about the person who connect to Google using Windows?
I was just trying to have a mental picture of how they now connect to the small systems.
They don't need to connect.
Okay.
You don't need to. Don't worry. Your picture, you are still. What's the video? The imagination now doesn't really. You are still limiting Linux in where this is where you believe Linux fits. No, remove all those limitations. But don't worry, you get there. But it's good to imagine. Linux is bigger than. So your first question was interesting, though. Where are we?
I was asking what if the command.
Yeah, I understand your question. Your question is now we are here. You are saying that I know that in DOS there's something called make directory. Akin, are you saying haven't known that learn this in DOS prompt or learn this in Python? Can I apply it here? I said no, not work in Linux. Linux has its own command on how to make directory, and that is make directory.
Okay.
Okay. That is what works. So you learn Linux command for Linux environment. If you go to PowerShell, you learn PowerShell command for PowerShell. You go to DOS command for DOS environment. You go to any other place, you learn that place command for. So your command, the commands you are learning here are peculiar only to Linux. So I've made directory. If I say LL now, I'm going to see that I have made a directory. Okay. So these are the things that you learn. What is a directory? Directory is the name that Linux calls folder. The way you make a folder in Windows, just by right-clicking and saying new, because it's a graphic user environment. That is what you do with make directory here. But don't worry about it. Let me not scare you with commands. Today is not for commands. Today is just to understand Linux, what it does, and its place in this whole networking thing. Once you can get that picture, you are good enough for. So Linux. So specifically, we'll be using CentOS like you already saw to learn Linux. We'll not use Ubuntu, we'll not use Debian, we'll not use any of it. But be rest assured that once you know one, learning the other. In fact, you don't need to learn the others. It's as good as you already know the others. The differences are not, they are too tiny to say you want to go and learn the other ones. Linux is Linux. Whether it is Red Hat Linux, CentOS Linux, Debian Linux, Ubuntu Linux, it's the same thing. All right, so have we done 2 hours already?
Hello, sir.
Huh?
Hello, sir.
5 minutes more. 4:55 by my time.
So who is scared? Who is scared like K2 to do Linux? Afiz, are you scared?
I'm not scared. I'm not scared at all. I have a question, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, aside Linux, that is a Unix-based operating system. Which other operating system?
The ones that GSM companies use will be. You know that as a Linux person, you can apply to as a switch engineer to GSM company. That's what they do. Switch engineers. They work as a Linux administrators for GSM companies, and they are paid very well. Did you get that?
Yes, sir.
As a Linux person, you qualify to work as switch. Okay, maybe not switch engineer. You qualify to work in the switching department, writing Linux commands on their server. Because I told you that Linux is used everywhere a server will manage millions of people. In GSM, in 4G companies, they are switched. Their server is managing 20 million. I used to have a student that works with one of those. That's why I got this 20 million. Okay, so your switch is managing 20 million subscribers at the same time. So what command are you going to enter to control on that server? It's Linux based. So after you are now saying, is this CentOS operating system okay to master? For you to now say, I am not going to work with Glo as a switch engineer or as MTN as a switch engineer. Yes, it's really good, but you will now need to learn their own particular Unix operating system on top of the Linux that you have learned. So learn Linux and understand Linux 70%, but find out what operating system are they using in Glo if you want to join Glo. They are likely to be using some proprietary. Glo will not just go and use open source operating system now. Why would they do that? MTN will not just go download Linux and use. They are bigger than that. So they want to use a version of Unix that is proprietary to them, according to the manufacturer and vendor of their equipment. So they may want to use Huawei kind of Linux on their Huawei server, Alcatel kind of Linux on their Alcatel server, Ericsson kind of Linux on their. So find out. In those days, when Ericsson was coming with Glo, they used to use Sun Solaris. Sun Solaris. I don't know what they use now because they keep changing vendors here and there. So depending on what server are they using, because the server, if it's HP server, then they will use HP kind of, you are cracking? HP kind of, HP, I think HP bought over Solaris. I think it's not HP Solaris. Anyway, to answer your question, 70% of the time, your Linux operating system knowledge is enough to get you a scripting job. But the other 30%, you have to narrow down to the specific operating system that they use now instead of the general Linux that you learned. So that specific is likely to be Solaris. What Solaris? Is it Sun Solaris? Is it HP Solaris? Is it Ericsson Solaris? You find out from the company where you want to work. Those companies are ready to train you at that level. They are hiring at that level. They are hiring you as an expert in that domain. So go and learn it on top of what you already learned. Are you going to find it easy to learn? Yes, because you already have a good foundation of the general Linux. So just learning. So if you already understand Yoruba and you speak Yoruba very fluently, learning to speak Ekiti should not be as so difficult as if you were coming without a Yoruba background, that kind of thing. But there are many companies that will hire you based on, in fact, very, very many of them, based on your understanding and use of only Linux. You don't need to go and learn another kind of language on top of Linux. So they just hire you as Linux system administrator. Thousands, in fact, millions of them. Millions of them. You know Linux, you are good enough. You don't need to go and learn anything else. They may just ask you, okay, you know Linux, that's fine, but this is the distro of Linux that we use. Do you know that distro? Debian, for example. We use Debian on our web server. So we need somebody who has worked with Debian, not just the Red Hat, the Debian as well, all these things. All right? But like I said, once you know one, it's as good as you know the other ones. However, you may just want to study the difference and practice the difference between, if out of 300, out of 1,500 commands that you are going to learn under Linux, the difference between the different Linux flavors commands will not be more than 7 or 15. You just know that in Debian, that command that you already knew as yob install in Debian is called RPM. That's just the difference. It will do the same thing the same way, but it's just the command that is different. You do it differently. Did I answer your question, Afis?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Understood, sir.
Okay. So you want to work as switch engineer for GSM company and earn like, I don't know what they earn now, but in those days we used to envy them. They used to earn so well. So what do you need to do? What do you need to study in IT?
Linux.
What do you need to study in IT in order to work as a switch engineer for 4G company?
Linux.
Linux.
No, it's not Linux.
Or Unix, any Unix.
Unix-based operating system. Is the more correct answer. Why are you restricting yourself to Linux? Linux is just one of them. So we are using Linux to learn Unix-based operating system. So it doesn't mean that if you know Solaris, you cannot work there. You can also work there. If you know Linux, you can work there. If you know any other kind of Unix-based operating system, you can work there. So don't restrict it to just Linux. So Linux is just one of them, but don't restrict it to Linux. If you want to work as in a corporate environment, where the corporate environment means that they have a LAN. That's corporate environment. When I say corporate, I mean LAN. Want to work in a corporate environment, what operating system should you be good at?
Windows Server.
Correct, Windows Server. So if you, on top of your Windows Server, you now learn Linux and you are so good in Linux, where would you look for work?
Enterprise environment.
Enterprise environment, correct. The best answer. Enterprise environment, very correct. Give me an example of enterprise environment. Or what do enterprise environments offer that corporate environments will not offer? A kind of difference. Who will earn better? Enterprise person or corporate person?
Enterprise.
So the guy who wears tie to work and dress corporate, compared to the guy who wears t-shirt on jeans in an enterprise environment, who earns better?
It was a t-shirt and jeans.
T-shirt and jeans. Oh.
Okay, so now you know. It's not always by your look. Indian people here, and there are very many here because they are enterprise people. All the Googles, all the McAfee, all the BB companies you hear of and respect in Nigeria, they are all around us here. They are just here. And they are 99, okay, maybe that's exaggeration. 80%, at least 80% of the workers there are Indians because they learned this thing from scratch. They went through apprenticeship program under their own mentors, and they became so good. And now they work in this environment. And they are always the same t-shirt, the same wear. Like me, you might see me wearing the same t-shirt, but same color t-shirt, maybe not the same. I could have like 5, 7 of them. But we don't care about dressing fine, wearing suit or wearing tie. No. Just care about knowing it technically and making the money. That's IT people.
I hope there's still space for other countries to.
Yeah, that's why, especially now that a pro-immigration president is coming in. That's why we're training you guys. That's why we're training you guys. We should have like 300, 500, 700 potential engineers, potential people like you. So that once the space, and they are going to come up with this new government coming. H-1B visa is going to come again. All the embargoes are going to be reduced. So there will be opportunities. So thank God you are already in this course. You will have opportunities to come. Tell me you are a big boy already now. Why are you asking that question?
No, we have to
you want to become bigger boy? Yeah, there will be opportunities. There will be. You can just sit right there and get a job right in Nigeria. Get your H-1B. You don't have to come here and be looking for work. Just get your visa.
Then the guy wants to be a biggest boy.
Yes, sir. So what we're telling you, learn. You didn't know. Now that when the opportunities come and you're already ready, by the time you go and the door is closed, you say, if I was good. So I'm just happy that I'll be able to raise at least good people here that I can vet and say, yes, I know somebody who can do the work. Contact him, interview him, and bring him on board. I couldn't talk confidently like this 2 months ago. With the new government coming to take over in January, there is hope for IT experts in Nigeria. Young IT experts like you. And you don't know what you know. You don't know what you know. Only when you get into the industry or you get to interview, that's when you realize that you know something. You don't know what you know now. I mean, even with the little you've done already, you know so much, I must tell you. You know so much. I'm so proud.
I'm happy to hear it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, you do know so much. I'm impressed so far. Well, let's see what we can do with Linux and ultimately what we can grow with cloud. If I can manage to get you into cloud and take the last blessing of cloud, even if you do not do DevOps, you'll be there. Get there. All right. That's the month. Anne, after my phone. Is Anne here?
Yeah.
Where are you?
I'm here, sir.
Why are you quiet now? Are we past very soon? All of you are going to be more quiet because when we were Windows, your mouth was very sharp. In Linux now, Abiodun, have you done Linux now before?
No, I'm not. That's why I'm very attentive.
You be quiet now. All the windows that you be saying, click here, click there, right click there.
I'm very attentive.
All right, so I'll let you go today. So we have had our introduction to Linux. So let's start practicing on Tuesday.
Thank you, sir.
All right. By the way, we're starting a new class in January. So I appreciate if you guys can pass the news around. Let me see if I can raise I just need to raise as many of you guys. I'm getting old. I can't walk. I've never worked for somebody and I can't work for them. But there are opportunities, I must tell you. I must re-emphasize. Especially, like I said, with this new development. So I really need to raise as many of you guys as possible. It's not 300 will be a moderate number. Let's just raise people who are potentially ready to come into the US and other developed countries and work as IT people. Let's prepare you people. Let's prepare you. So spread the news. Let new people come in to join the January class. Because you never know when the opportunity will be open. I will say now, because there have been people here, companies here looking for people from outside. Of course, they always look in the direction of India. But with 300 people potentially waiting in Nigeria, they should also be looking. We don't even have to tell them anything.
I was very happy yesterday. Yeah, at least the immigrants, this thing will come back.
Yeah.
So we can also visit you, sir.
You are good now, and your husband is already here, so you should be among the first people to come in as soon as the law on that. But beyond that, there will still be opportunity. It's not when the opportunity comes that I'll be rushing to go and train people. Get ready before the opportunity comes so that you have something to present, your certification to present, your resume to present, something to show that I qualify. Please let me in. You have to be ready now before the opportunity, before they announce that the doors are open. So tell your colleagues, tell your relations, tell everybody you know. Let them come join the general class. Let's prepare them for the opportunities that are very eminent, that are hanging and ready to open up. All right. So is that something you can do for me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we do, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right. I'd appreciate that. January 5 is the new date. So let them begin to get ready now. But by that January 5, you would have done 3 months. And by your speaking and by your knowledge, they would know you, your light will shine. And it shouldn't be so difficult to convince them. Your co-workers and people. Let them come on board. Let's not monopolize the opportunity. Let's share it. The more we share it, the more your light shines. All right, on Tuesday. Well, if you have any question, whether with Windows or with this, please post it on the forum. I'll be ready to help. All right, that's all for today.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye, sir.
Thank you.
See you on Tuesday.
Bye.
Bye.